JK, I wanted to be defeated anyway. This was my plan all along. Fei Xiao, you were truly my plan. I am you and you are me, and we are born from war, and we will die for war. We are the same, and I'm going to eat you. I'm going to devour you. Oh my god. Holy actually losing my mind. 2.4 was really good. I really enjoyed 2.4. It gave us more lore and more story and more... It started to resolve some questions that I had after like 1.5. After, I remember like 1.4, 1.5, whatever it was, with the Ibib de Lune stuff. When we left the Luofu, kinda. I felt like there were unresolved things and unresolved storylines that kind of annoyed me. And it really made me felt disheartened by the ending of the Luofu story at that point. 2.4 did a good job of beginning to like answer some of those questions for me. Kind of similar with 2.5, but some of those questions are beginning to be answered, and I do like that. I do like that we're going back and actually like exploring them. I like the fact that, you know, Jing Yuan is kind of being, you know, asked questions about his links to how he was involved with everything and if he was a good general or not. And getting to go to the shackling prison was great. I loved that. I actually liked most of 2.4. I thought 2.4 was great. The Yap, we did have Yap, but to me that was interesting Yap. That actually set the scene. It set up new lore. It set up direction for the story. And I actually didn't mind it at all. I didn't mind it at all. We got to the shackling prison, which looked kind of cool. I don't think it was an amazing area, but I think it looked cool. For me, the highlight was definitely the release of Hoolay, right? That was one of the most epic things I've seen in a gacha game. Can I say that? Like, genuinely, his release was like, you could just feel by the way he spoke about him, by the way he felt, by the way he presented him and talked about him, that Hoolay was not to be fucked with. They presented him as he's not to be fucked with. He's a big bad. He's this, he's that, he's whatever. And he sounds pretty fucking cool. And when he was released, we saw him for the first time. Damn, he looked cool. And then 2.5 happened. Everything was going so well. Zhao Qi and Moza, they had great introductions. I thought the introduction of Fei Xiao, her interaction with Jing Yuan, was really cool. I really liked basically everything about 2.4. I'd give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10 as far as like gacha story goes for me, of like building up. Like it didn't have a crescendo, but it was a really good build up. And as for a build up patch, I actually really enjoyed it. Then 2.5 happened, and they reduced Hoolay to a humanoid form, which looked fucking ass. They made his body look kind of cool, but then his face was just this NPC, like low polygon. And I was just like, why? Why did they do that to him? They made him go from being so cool and threatening to kind of like the Lord of Bloody Yap. Oh my god. Like, it felt really disheartening. And I feel like they really started to reduce his character a little bit. And he went from this really threatening being, which I thought was so cool. He kind of reminded me like a World of Warcraft, like raid boss in a way, to like this to a dungeon boss. That's what happened. My respect and my ooh, what's gonna happen went from raid level boss to dungeon boss. And I felt that was a little bit unfortunate. Now, the more that 2.5 went on, the more I started to hate it. To me, one of the redeeming features of 2.5, the redeeming features for me was the kind of the ending fight with Hoolay and Yanqing getting his moment. The Jing Liu bit was really cool. Fei Xiao becoming an emanator, I believe, right? Because she was in the presence of Lan. Lan came before her, gave her a new weapon. I believe she became an emanator at that moment. She had her moment. I thought that was cool. I thought Hoolay ripping open his body and presenting the Crimson Moon and being like, you know what? I'm going my own way. I'm doing this own path. Fei Xiao, you are gonna make this choice, sort of thing. I thought that whole scene was cool. I wish we saw a little bit more of maybe people turning into madness a little bit more, because I felt like I want Hoolay to feel more of a threat. Was there a couple of cutscenes where he like Like at the beginning when we first saw when he crushed like Juyi, that was cool. I wanted to see more aggression from Hoolay, but we got that like maybe twice. I feel like we got that maybe twice, but the whole like Crimson Moon thing, that was pretty cool. But then in the space of 2 seconds, that was gone because Fei Xiao did her thing. And then we defeated Fei Xiao, and then that was kind of all kind of resolved pretty quickly. One thing I do like about Hoolay is that he wasn't just an evil character for the sake of being evil, I will say. He was very much a character who, his interests are in the Borisons themselves and them being strong. And he kind of resents the Borison for coming back for him, rather than be stronger and go their own way. And, you know, if he were to return, he would only be a puppet to whoever has coordinated his release now 700 years later. Like, where have you been all this time? Clearly, it's at the mercy of someone else's wishes and not your own. So why even bother coming for me? I do like that complexity about his character. I do like the complexity of his character. But I do feel like, in the end, he was reduced to a Fei Xiao, you are me and I am you, and I don't care about this. I will still choose my own path and do this my own way, sort of thing. And I was like, oh my god. It's like, oh, okay. I will insert my yap here when we were in, like, basically Fei Xiao's innate domain, I guess you could call it. Battling her inner demons with this newly consumed Crimson Moon, this Hoolay. I guess I'll insert my little rant that I had there. Oh my god, how many times are you gonna say born for war and die for war? We are both monsters, but we choose different paths. We are the same, but we are not. Chat, do you know? I was born for war and we will die for war. We are similar, but we are not. I will choose a different path. We are Venom. We are Legion. I am you. You are me. I am him. Holy shit. Oh my god. Make it stop. It's been like half an hour. It's been half an hour. 2.4 was so good. 2.4 was so good. They introduced the Shackling prison. We got some lore about the actual Jianzhou. Some like political shit was going on, which I found kind of interesting. With like Jingyuan and all that sort of stuff, and the Ambrosial Office. That was all really cool. And then we went to the Shackling prison, and that was cool. We understood more about how that worked. Then we saw Hoolay. Hoolay escaped. That whole scene was cool. And then they made him into a dumbass looking human who looked kind of ridiculous. Okay, looked kind of ridiculous. And then they reduced his character to being, I am you. You are me. Guess what? I didn't want to win anyway. I did want to die, actually. Actually, I'm this big beast who can't be killed. I'm big, scary, and powerful. And, like, I'm so cool. I'm so dumb. He's actually, like, a really cool character. But then in the end, they go, nah, actually, JK, I wanted to be defeated anyway. This was my plan all along. Fei Xiao, you were truly my plan. I am you, and you are me. And we are born from war. And we will die for war. We are the same, and I'm going to eat you. I'm going to devour you. If you don't follow I gave you this choice. If you don't follow me, I will devour you. I will become you, because we are one and the same. Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. Actually losing my fucking mind. Like, Hoolay could have been written so much better. Bro, it actually pisses me off. I can't believe I'm getting annoyed again at another story in a gacha game. 2.4 was such a good build-up, and then they completely reduce Hoolay's character to being I am him thing, and it's like, oh my god, it's so annoying. And we've been in this fucking dialogue for half an hour when they've repeated the same shit. The same sentences and sentiment for half a fucking hour. I don't know why Hoolay would be saying to the Borison, oh, just pick a new warhead. When I thought the whole purpose of the warhead was supposed to have the Crimson Moon or the Crimson Heart, whatever you want to call it in the first place. So would they be a warhead without that? Would they be as strong? How could they be? I don't know what Hoolay meant by that. Maybe there's some lore I missed out on that. Maybe I did miss something, but I'm not too sure how they were supposed to make a new warhead without him, but that's by the by. And then I thought, okay, it's gonna be over, and then it kept going, and then we had a perspective change to Dan Heng, Ling Sha, the Vidyadhara, and they were like, okay, let's go to Scaleforge Waterscape, right? Because it was the Vidyadhara that made the Shackling prison. So maybe the Vidyadhara were the ones who assisted in the release and breakout of Hoolay. And then we come across a dude, I forgot his name, I forgot his name, right? That we've never seen before, never spoken to, and he's the one. He was the videographer that assisted, basically in the release of Hoolay. Why? Because there was some like Fantilia trying to get the preceptors on their side to assist in basically this chaos. Why exactly they wanted to help Hoolay and why that would benefit the videographer in reproduction and getting that back. Honestly, I'll be real, at that point I was kind of so done with what I was listening to. I'm being so honest, I clocked out at that point. I was reading everything, I was trying to pay attention to that, but it's like, we've never met this character before, we've never really spoken to them. They were the videographer that helped and assisted with the prison breakout, but they're assisting Hoolay because they're assisting basically Fantilia, who promised him something, and they thought maybe that it would work with the Alliance and to give them their reproduction rights. I don't know. Maybe that just wasn't well explained, but it felt like they just crammed that in. It feels like they just kind of shoved that in there in that 10-20 minutes, however long it felt. Yeah, that probably is a me problem. That whole bit might have been a me problem, but I'll be real. At that point, I'm just like, okay, yup. I just nodded and went yup at that point. I'll be real. And then we went back to the Seat of Divine Foresight. Jing Yuan finally makes an appearance. Oh my god, throughout the whole thing. Oh my goodness, throughout the whole thing, Jing Yuan does fuck all. The whole point of us coming back was to help Jing Yuan, right? He was going to be interrogated. He was going to be investigated. That bit of 2.4 was cool, but then we kind of really forget about it because all this stuff kind of happens. He makes no appearance until right at the end, again, when everything's resolved, which is quite typical of Jing Yuan to do, really, I feel like, at this point. And he's like, oh yes, actually, this was all under my plan. I planned for this whole thing to happen anyway, sort of thing. And then we get the old man, I forgot his name, Hualon, I forgot his name, the old dude with the beard. And he's there, and then Fei Xiao meets up with them again. And then suddenly they're like, yeah, so, here's the General Wagwan mi General. What was literally the person is called General Wagwan. I'm not making that up. Bomba-clad Wagwan mi General arrives, the seer of the Yuche, whatever it is. Is like, hey, so what, we've interrogated Launcher and Jigliu. Yeah, the coffin's got like a partial body remnant of like the swarm, whatever it was. I forgot what propagation, whatever the fuck it was. Ruon Mei is involved with this in some way. She's here now, and then it's to be continued. So and then we get some Tingyun bits, right? That's kind of cool. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to what happens in 2.6, 2.7, right? I'm looking forward to that. But I feel like 2.5 felt like they were trying to pull all these strings together and tie up some lore things and pull these bits together. But it didn't really quite work for me. 2.4 had a great setup, but in 2.5, I feel like they were pulling together strings from the Fantilia questline. They're trying to pull strings together from what they're currently developing. They're trying to add in strings from what's to come. So they're trying to link past, present, and future all in 2.5. And to me, it felt a little bit too disjointed. Like, we physically had different POV switches. Something they introduced in Penacony, right? We physically have these different POV switches. They're kind of like past quest, present quest, future quest, like all kind of coming together. And I feel like for me, it just doesn't lock in. It doesn't feel entirely cohesive. And you kind of lose, like, the momentum you get from one part of the quest, you kind of lose when you're taken out and ripped out and you're put into another part of it. You go from the Hoolay stuff to here's the upcoming, the Seers stuff with the Yuche and Tingyun. It feels like they rip you out from one time to another too quickly, and you go a bit like, oh my god. Like, your brain has to catch up with where you're at in the story and what information you have to know. And that's why it feels disjointed. I feel like 2.5 is a patch that maybe was meant to be 2. I feel like maybe 2.5 was meant to be 2 different patches. The Hoolay conclusion and the beginning of like 2.6 basically. And I felt like maybe it would have been better that way. But yeah, this felt like they were trying to pull together 3 different areas of the story to make it work. And I don't think the payoff was there for me. Did I enjoy my time? I enjoyed the fights. I enjoyed the boss fights. I enjoyed Fei Xiao's character development very much. I really grew to like Yun Li and Yan Qing in this. I grew to even quite like March. I actually gave a shit about a lot of the characters. For me, again, it's just the pacing, the way they bring it all together. I didn't like what they did with Hulay's character in the end, though. I think he could have been such a good villain that was given an unfair writing treatment at the end. And then I felt, again, the traditional Honkai Star Rail Yapathon strikes again. There was so much yap that happened in 2.5 that, again, just useless metaphors. Again, I included that in my rant. There's useless metaphors. Just kind of get to the point. Tell us what we need to know. Because you drag us to so many different POV switches throughout 2.5 that giving us so much information, so many of these metaphors, can actually be distracting of the information we're meant to retain. And that's kind of why it's annoying. 2.4 was great. 2.5 was meh. Meh at best. It could have been so much better, but it was meh at best. But overall, I've enjoyed the progression of the story. I'm glad that I've gotten some conclusions to stuff that I had in like the 1.0s, the 1.4s, whatever it is, that make this a little bit better for me. I'm excited to see what happens next with Ting Yun, and maybe now we actually get to more of the, okay, who's the big masterminds behind this? What's Fantilia up to? I hope that's good. Now that we've got rid of this threat, I hope that becomes interesting and promising. So I don't hate this. I don't hate Honkai Star Rail. I didn't hate 2.5. I thought it was meh. There were things that Zhao Qi should have died, in my opinion. If you're gonna try and kill a character, maybe, you know, make it a bit whatever. But I like that they tried. That they added, he was gravely hurt. Zhui Yi was dead, but she's not because she can come back in a different body, sort of thing. Like they are scared of killing off characters in this game, but that's okay. Morza was cool. We didn't really get much of Morza. Morza is the most two-dimensional black and white character trope that I've ever seen in my life. I grew actually a lot to really like Zhao Qi. I think he's actually one of my favorite. I think Fei Xiao and Zhao Qi were my standout characters in this, followed by Yun Li and then Yan Qing. I thought that was really cool. They were great, but yeah, Morza was despite he looks hard as shit, he is one of the most two-dimensional characters in Honkai Star Rail. But yeah, so I feel like Ling Sha as well. She's cool, but I feel like we didn't really get that much about her or with her. Maybe we will in the next patch, but yeah, I feel like that she was a little bit lacking for me in terms of like character development. She never really changed through any of this. She was just kind of there, did her thing, and that's it. Gave us a bit of a lore drop for her past. That's kind of that. But Fei Xiao is definitely the standout here for the whole patch, obviously. Hoolay could have been so much better than he was, but he had a great build-up. Overall, 2.4, again, I'll give it an 8 or 9 out of 10 for a build-up patch that made me excited to carry on. 2.5 happened, and then it's like a 6. It's like a 6, 7. It could have been so much better, but yeah. But I'm just satisfied it gave me some answers, some conclusions to the previous Lawful quest line. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Honkai Star Rail. I know they're late. I've only just done it. I appreciate y'all. I stream almost every day on Twitch, 7 p.m. BST, 2 p.m. EST. Come and say hello. Come and say hi. My chat's very nice. They're very nice, I promise. If you like this, give it a like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment down below. And I'll see you all the next time. Peace.